Yeah, I made this myself.
Yeah. When it shows up as kind of woman or whatever, it's like that's not
Liberation!
What do we want?
Now!
What do we want?
Liberation!
What do we want?
Now!
1, 2, 3, 4.
Occupation no more!
5, 6, 7, 8.
Israel is a terror state!
1, 2, 3, 4.
Occupation no more!
5, 6, 7, 8.
Israel is a terror state!
Comrades, we have been here together for more than a year now. We have seen the ceasefire being broken time and time again. We have seen the genocide not just continuing, but accelerating with the support, with the connivance of all of the governments on the West and the governments not on the West also. We see in a time when we see Israel accelerating the genocide, razing whole cities to the ground, murdering whole families. We see our government, the Labour government, increasing the military defense funding by billions, while at the same time cutting 5 billion or more of the most vulnerable in society. Shame!
Shame!
And we see universities, we see companies not saying anything, not just supporting this genocide, but profiting and cheering on it. We see companies like Airbus, companies like Elbit, companies like Starbucks, universities like Cardiff University, Bristol University, making the profit of our dead Palestinian sisters and brothers. And we say, not in our name. So we'll have a day of rage, of solidarity, but rage is not enough. We need to organize. We need to keep organizing better. We need to keep organizing stronger. So we will have a couple of speeches here, and then we will march to some of the main culprits for this genocide. We're going to march to the Airbus Excellence Center, yeah, that's the name, just down the road. Because if we do not stop it at home, we won't be able to stop it abroad. We have a responsibility to stop the country where we live in, to stop them from supporting genocide. Because from the river to the sea,
Palestine will be free!
from the river to the sea,
Palestine will be free!
from the river to the sea,
Palestine will be free!
And we have also seen, coupled with this, the increasing repression and oppression not of Palestinian people and of those that are fighting for Palestinian freedom and for those fighting against fascism. We saw right here in our city the brave, the courageous Cardiff 19 that have been charged with crimes just for the crime of standing against genocide. And although the trials are still ongoing, we know that the police, the judiciary, they are not our friends. We need to fight so they are not just absolved, but we need to fight to make them realize that the genocide needs to be stopped.
Yes.
So the first person that I'm going to call to speak is one of the people that has been unwavering solidarity with Palestine, one of the leading members of the system, someone that has paid with their body, that has paid with their time for the support that they give to Palestine, but I know that he will not do anything different. Big round of applause for Nizo!
Good afternoon, Cardiff! What a crazy time to be alive. A time where innocent children, women and men are still being slaughtered with weapons that are manufactured and sold by this government, this country. And the world still continues to turn a blind eye. And the world allows this to happen. We're seeing it live. We're witnessing it live genocide. Whilst those who are providing the weapons, making the weapons, and sending funds that are used to massacre innocent people, they are given Nobel Peace Prizes and awarded government funding. So the first trial of the Cardiff 19 concluded on the 10th, which was Thursday, and all defendants were found guilty of all counts and all of the accusations made against them. This, I think the government or the state or the courts or the judge saw this as a victory for them. But rather, this is a victory for us, because we are back out on the streets and we will continue to protest, and we do not fear any repercussions for what we're doing, because the reason we come and we sacrifice our liberties, our jobs, our freedom, our lives is because innocent people across the globe are being bombed with weapons that are being made here in the UK. And if the government think that they can silence us, or they can lock us all away, or they can stop this movement, then they have miscalculated who we are and what we stand for. We are a peaceful movement, and even when the judge gave her judgment in the court on Thursday, she said that these protests were nothing but peaceful. There was no elements of violence at all, and that our conventional human rights were engaged. However, the judge didn't want to go into the police brutality, the unlawful arrest, even though she specifically stated that the bronze inspector, Mr. Wong, who is one of the leading officers here, he lied under oath, and his statements were contradicted by 4 other police officers. This is a system. This is a system where the police, who are supposed to be upholding the law, are lying in the courtroom under oath to protect their system and to protect their negligence of humanity. Well, I say, and excuse my language, little kids, for this, but fuck them. Because it is within our rights and it is within our morality to keep coming out until children stop being killed and massacred and bombed, and we will keep coming out until liberation. So my message, people, is do not fear the system. Fear being silent at a time when innocent children, men and women are being massacred, ethnically cleansed. Fear not speaking out at a time when humanity demands us to speak out. And do not fear the repercussions of a system that is complicit in the killing and the murder of our brothers and sisters in Palestine. Free, free! Palestine! Free, free!
Palestine!
Free, free!
Palestine!
We'll keep fighting. We'll not let police brutality, police repression stop us. It will only make us go harder. And now we have someone that has been a first-hand witness and a first-hand supporter of the Palestine cause. Lee has been a nurse and an emergency medical support worker in Palestine right now. He just came back from Palestine, where he helped in the Balata refugee camp working as a nurse, and he helped everyone. These are people that, unlike our politicians, unlike the big companies, unlike the universities, put their money, put their body, put themselves where their mouth is. So a big round of applause for Lee.
But firstly, I'd like to thank you all for being here, because you bring something priceless to the people of Palestine, and that's hope. And it's something that they haven't had for a long, long time. And if you see me crying, don't offer me a comfort. I cry for the people that I saw and the people I worked with and the people I had to leave behind when I came back to Britain, as well as my British family when I'm here. If I tell you that I want to damn my eyes for the things that I've seen, then don't offer me comfort again. Save everything you have for the people of Palestine, because the world has truly turned its back. Well, I don't know whether it's even turned its back. It seems to be gambling on it to me. But rather than me just stand here and tell you of the horror and the biased, racist spite that I witnessed whilst there, I'd like to talk to you about the beauty of the Palestinian people. And something that reaffirmed in me. After 30 years of working emergency in Britain, I gave up working as a nurse, and I was born to be a nurse. My mother was a nurse, my grandmother was a nurse. And I gave it up because of the way that our capitalist country was treating the rest of the world. They were investing my pension in weapons of war, and I'd been to war beforehand. So whilst working in Balata refugee camp in Nablus City in the West Bank, I worked with nurses there that truly showed care, truly showed empathy to their patients. And even after we'd been held against a wall at gunpoint, they still carried on showing care. Personally, whether it makes me narcissistic or whatever other labels society wants to put on me, all I could do was shake. I had a gun put in my face for about the 30th time that month, and all I could do was shake. But these nurses went back to nursing, and there was no more, to a retired nurse, there was no more powerful a demonstration of the spirit of an oppressed people. And also there's this town called Madama, which is 15 kilometers south of Nablus City, and it is literally under siege. Over the last 50 years they've built settler camps around it, and now they started building military camps around it. They shut it off daily. They go in with bulldozers and they rip up the roads and they pull down the olive trees. But while there, I met some people from Madama Football Club. Now, if anybody can remember Madama Football Club, they're on Facebook, I believe. Then please reach out and contact these people, because all the people want is to know that the world hasn't forgotten about them, that the world is there with them. And Madama Football Club, now that they've lost their football pitch, they still give aid to their community. They go out, they fix the roads, they put aid boxes together, they take them to the needy people, the people whose houses have been absolutely brutalized by the Israeli occupying forces. We don't call them a defense force, because they are occupying and they are attacking, they are aggressive. In that city, I've got a friend called Allah and his girlfriend called Misa. They've invited me to their wedding in September. They're surrounded, they are literally military occupied and surrounded and under siege. And they still have the hope and the belief in love to get engaged, to get married. So in September I go back for a wedding, as well as to work as an emergency specialist. So I can't put across to you the strength, the generosity, the beauty. When I was going to houses which were 15 kilometers outside Gaza, and I wouldn't even call it a building anymore. People had pride, and they invited me into their house for coffee, and they shared their food with me. When stuck there, because the Israeli forces at the time were targeting medics, and they still are. Wherever I went in medical uniform, whether I had a UN uniform or a Red Cross, Red Crescent, I had to take my uniform off, because the snipers were targeting medics, bakers and journalists. So there's no food, there's no help, and nobody knows about it. That's the only reason behind targeting those three groups of people. And whilst I was there, I thought I was going in my British arrogance to save the children of Palestine, and the children of Palestine saved me so many times by throwing rocks at tanks, by standing in front of armed soldiers and picking up tear gas and throwing it back at them. I met 8-year-old girls there that were just braver than anybody I've ever met and tougher than anybody I've ever met. So when you look at Palestine, try and see past the horror and try and see the beauty of an ancient, generous, welcoming, civil culture. Not the label that Britain puts on it. Thank you.
We will never forget.
I'm also selling things made by the women of Palestine there. So every single penny goes to the Balata refugee camp and the orphan children and single mums of Palestine, so, and of Gaza.
Finally, we'll never forget the Palestinians, and we will never forgive those that aid and abet their killing and their genocide.
Yes.
We will keep fighting like we did before, like we keep doing. And talking about fighting, we have one of the biggest fighters I know, one of the most unwavering fighters, one of the leading lights of the Cardiff Students for Palestine and of the Palestine movement, someone that has been repressed by their university, repressed by the police, but that keeps fighting here. Big round of applause for Ariad.
Thank you. That introduction was way more than I deserve. So I had an alternative speech that I was going to give today, a lot about Cardiff University and their complicity with Airbus. But after what I woke up and saw this morning, I wanted to talk about Mahmoud Khalil instead. Yesterday, a Louisiana judge ruled that Palestinian student Mahmoud Khalil should be deported from the fascist USA. The judge asserted that Mahmoud's presence in the country poses a continued adverse foreign policy consequences and that he is a threat to national security. Mahmoud was abducted from his apartment in New York on the 8th of March by masked ICE agents and taken over 1,000 miles away to a Louisiana prison, despite him being a permanent resident under the US's Green Card program. His wife, who is currently 8.5 months pregnant, his family, his friends and legal team did not know where Mahmoud was for days. Mahmoud has been subject to this brutality simply because he is a Palestinian standing for Palestinian liberation. Mahmoud was a master's student at Columbia University, due to graduate in May 2025. During the historical Columbia University encampment, Mahmoud served as a negotiator for CU apartheid divest in meetings with the university, demanding they stop investing its $14.8 billion endowment in supporting Israel. They demanded that they dismantle their university outpost in Jaffa and end collaboration with Israeli universities. Columbia administrators described Mahmoud as a principled, good-faith negotiator who worked well with the university. Despite this, on March 6 this year, Columbia opened a disciplinary investigation into a number of students, including Mahmoud. 2 days later, on March 8th, ICE abducted Mahmoud from his home. Mahmoud is not charged with a single crime, and Columbia University has refused to comment on whether they worked with ICE to abduct him. I wanted to tell Mahmoud's story because it is one of the clearest examples of universities around the world collaborating with the state and the police in an attempt to suppress student activism for Palestine. In the UK, we have seen students brutalised by the police on their own campuses, attacked by Zionists while campus security watches on, and are being suspended and expelled for standing against their institutions' complicity in genocide. Students are being referred to prevent and are having their visas threatened. We should be incandescent with rage. Because instead of encouraging the so-called free speech that these colonial institutions claim to uphold, they are committed to deepening their ties to the Zionist entity. In Cardiff, Cardiff Met has the Cisco cybersecurity lab, which is a major target of the BDS movement. Airbus, Rolls-Royce, Elbit, BAE Systems, Cardiff University has ties and partnerships with them all. Cardiff University has also suspended and disciplined some of the highest numbers of student and staff for Palestinian activism, the vast majority of whom are from the global majority, including a Palestinian student. of you may know, November and I are now in the 6th month of our suspension, with no updates other than to remind us that we are still deemed the highest level of risk to campus security.
Bullshit! Yes!
That is because we had the audacity to call the RAF baby killers. Because we dared use the word when we were shaking with rage after seeing Palestinians burned alive in a hospital. Bangor University had a student dragged off of stage and arrested at her own graduation for speaking out against Palestine.
Shame!
This is fascism. This is fascism that is alive and well, and we are living in it. But we must not despair. We must be led by the Palestinian resistance at every step and never, ever stop raising our voices for Palestine. We must stand up for Mahmoud Khalil. We must stand up for the Cardiff 19. We must stand up for Kwabena. We must stand up for the Filton 18 and all those who have been targeted by the state, because as Fred Hampton said, you can jail the revolutionary, but you can never jail the revolution. We must rise up and stand united against these systems of violence and oppression, which none of us are safe. Because as Angela Davis said, if they come for me in the morning, they will come for you at night. Justice for Mahmoud Khalil!
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 Thank you.
What was always an absolute amazing speech by Harriet, showing that this fight is not just a fight in the UK, just not fighting Palestine, it's an international fight. That across the world we are fighting for Palestinian liberation, but we are also fighting against those that oppress us at home. And I just wanted to make an appeal, because what Harriet said just reminded me that we need some international solidarity. In Spain, the seven revolutionaries and student activists from the Sindicato de Estudiantes, the student union in Spain, one of them, Coral, that spoke, sent a message of solidarity to our Women's Day rally, have been called by the police to testify and have been charged with a number of crimes. Their crime was to oppose the invasion by the far right of one of the campus of a university in Madrid, Complutense University, when the far-right speech had been cancelled. A group of far-right activists invaded the campus and tried to take over to speak. And hundreds of people, hundreds of students, hundreds of lecturers, hundreds of pro-Palestine protesters, of anti-fascists organized to stop it. The answer by the far-right and by the police was to denounce our comrades for different public disorder, even hate crimes, when their only crime was to protest against fascism, and they are now being tried at court. They are called the Siete de Somos Aguas, the Somos Aguas 7, and this is an international fight, because they make the point to say that what's happening to them is what's happening across the world. It's a pattern of international repression to try to stop us from fighting for what is right. But they will not stop us. We will only grow stronger. If they touch one of us, they touch all of us. And on that note, we are now going to march to Airbus. No, we are not going to march to Airbus. We are getting the banner, so we're going to do some chantings. I'm going to let Lizo lead it for a bit.
I just want to also highlight, I don't know if all of you have seen, but there is a law firm in England called Riverway Law Firm, who have just put in an application to the Home Office, instructed by the Palestinian Liberation Movement to de-proscribe them as a terrorist organization here in the United Kingdom. Now, this is by no means any support or calling for support for said organization, but this would be a very interesting case to see the legal framework and to test the legal framework in the United Kingdom, because if Israel were held to the same standards as the Palestinians, then Israel would also be prescribed and never be removed. And one of the main arguments they put forward is that peace cannot come when you cannot negotiate with the resistance movement. And another very important point that was made is that resistance is an outcome of occupation, of oppression. The resistance movement only came into being in 1987, which was 40 years after the creation, the illegal creation of the terrorist state of Israel. Action and consequence. And what many say is that if there was no resistance movement, the Palestinians would have to create one, because the whole world has left them, has abandoned them, and has left them to their suffering and misery. So if you're not following them already, follow Riverway Solicitors, and it would be very interesting to keep up with this legal battle with the hypocritical United States government. And the lady who prescribed the resistance movement did so after secret meetings with Israel. And this is why Priti Patel was forced to resign from her position as Home Office or head of Home Office, was because she was having secret meetings with the Israeli government and the Israeli state. So keep your eyes peeled, and remember, resistance is not terrorism, resistance is not a crime, resistance is mandatory in the face of oppression. Free, free!
Palestine!
Free, free!
Palestine!
Free, free!
Palestine!
Sea to the river!
Palestine will live forever!
From the sea to the river!
Palestine will live forever!
And there's something that I think not anybody here, but a lot of people I've seen, when it comes to boycotting, when it comes to the companies and the organizations that are actively putting money into the Zionist pocket, the Zionist regime, providing the weapons, boycotting is having such a huge impact. Companies like McDonald's and Starbucks and Costa, all of these need to be boycotted. All of them need to be boycotted. If you see anybody that you know drinking them or buying from them, just explain to them, look, you are funding an active genocide. Yes. The boycotts are working, the protests are working. But the fear is now, after 18 months, people have come to that point where they feel tired, where they feel like it's not making a difference. Believe me, it's having a huge difference. Otherwise, there would not be detention of activists, there would not be suspension of students, there would not be deportation of people standing up. The reason they are doing this is because of the impact your activism is having. Yes. So your activism is resistance. Yes. You are the resistance. Yes. So keep coming out and resisting, because inshallah, God willing, I pray from the bottom of my heart that the liberation of Palestine, the liberation of Gaza is going to be in our lifetime, with your continued support. And on that note, we've got the banner, let's get ready, and we march for Palestine, we march for Gaza, we march for all the oppressed people across the world. Free, free!
Palestine!
Free, free!
Palestine!
From the river to the sea!
Palestine will be free!
From the sea to the river!
Palestine will live forever!
1, 2, 3, 4!
Occupation!